radiophonic recording, the feeling of space and perspective is brought to you.
Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of the Silent Feedback Podcast. I'm your host Josh, and for today's episode, I am going to be reviewing the album Simple Things by the group 07. A little bit of background on 07. 07 is an Electronica group from London, England, that's made up of Henry Binns and Sam Hardaker. They began as studio engineers, and in 1997, they formed the group 07. So far, 07 has released 4 studio albums, with their last studio album being released in 2009. But the album I'm reviewing today is Simple Things, which is their debut studio album. It was released on April 23rd, 2001. The label was Ultimate Dilemma, and the producer and mixer for the entire album is by 07, the group. So they did all the production mixing on this album. There are 4 singles released for this album. The first was I Have Seen, then you had Destiny, In the Waiting Line, and Distractions. So those are the 4 singles that were released prior to the album. In terms of sales, this album sold 800,000 copies worldwide, and it peaked at number 28 on the UK albums chart. In terms of genres, this album is described as electronica, a downtempo, and a chill-out album. And in terms of reception, this album had mixed to positive reviews. NME and Spin both gave the album 8 out of 10. Rolling Stone gave the album 3.5 out of 5 stars. But Pitchfork actually gave the album 5.3 out of 10. And they criticized the album because they thought it was too similar to Air's Moon Safari, which was a critically acclaimed album that featured similar sounds in the kind of down-tempo electronica field. And that was released 3 years earlier in 1998. So they felt that this album was, intimidating ripping off that album, and they thought it was too similar. So they criticized it for that. But overall, in terms of 07, this was the album that really, most people talk about. This is widely considered to be their best album. The albums that they released after this album didn't do as well in terms of sales and critical reception. Now, another note I found is they actually released a remix album called Simple Things Remixed in 2003. This album was basically, they brought in these other producers to remix the songs, a select few of songs from this album. Some of the producers include Madlib, Phone Tech, and Ronnie Size. Now, I was really surprised when I saw that Madlib did a remix for one of the songs, because, I'm a big fan of Madlib. He's definitely more of a hip-hop producer, so I thought that was kind of interesting. And they also on the album released an enhanced music video for the song Destiny. So now I'm going to go over each song on the album, give a little background on the songs, what I thought about them, and we're going to go through all the songs, and then at the end, I'm going to give my top 3 songs of the album, my overall thoughts, and then my rating. So the first song on the album that opens the album is called I Have Seen. It's a cover of a song by the Peddlers. The song was originally written by Roy Phillips, who was the front man, the lead vocalist and keyboardist for the Peddlers. A little bit of background on the Peddlers. They were a British jazz and soul trio from the 60s and 70s. And this song, I Have Seen, appeared on their 1972 album Sweet London, which they made with the London Philharmonic Orchestra. But yeah, this song is a cover of the original Peddlers version. The vocals on this song are done by Moses. Moses was a Jamaican-born soul singer based in London who had his own solo career, and he contributes to a couple songs on this album, including a couple more songs on their second studio album, When It Falls. And a little bit of background on 07. Again, they're producers and mixers, so they handle all the instrumentation, while they'll bring in guest vocalists to do the vocals. So none of the vocals on this album are actually done by 07. It's always a guest vocalist who they give credit to. So, but yeah, this is the first single to appear on the album. And, this song starts off with this really cool jazz, kind of back and forth riffs between the bass and the drum that I really enjoyed. And it goes straight into this main bass riff that actually reminded me a lot of the bass riff in the song Pacifics by Diggable Planets. That's the song that it repeats like New York is red hot, like over and over again. And I know they sampled that from some other song in the 70s, but it has at least to me, it had a very similar sounding bass riff to that, which I thought was really cool. Moses, I think, has a great voice. It's very smooth and soulful, and it really fits the jazz feel, the jazz nature of this song. He can make his voice sound very powerful, but I always noticed that it felt very controlled. It wasn't like drowning out the instrumentation, because with this band, they, at least for this album, they really emphasize the instrumentation and the vocals, and they want them to be balanced. It's not really an album where the vocals shine or the instrumentation shines. They want both of them to shine equally. So I feel like both the mixing, the production, but also just the vocal control of Moses really help with that, because again, he has a very powerful, soulful voice, but it's not overbearing. It doesn't overwhelm the instrumentation that you hear on this song. I also really enjoyed the acoustic guitar playing on this song. It's very jazzy. You can tell they're using, a lot of the jazz chord, the 7th chords, the 9th chords, and I think that sounds really good. The chorus, I really enjoy. In the chorus, they use a great job of bringing in the piano and the strings to create this, build up musically that kind of leads to a crescendo of just, all these instruments sounding beautifully together that I really enjoyed. And I like how after the chorus, it goes back to a stop, and then it goes back to a really clean transition into that verse riff, and then they start to build up again. So I really liked how, again, this song just felt really well produced and mixed. All the instruments, they don't sound overbearing. His voice doesn't sound overbearing, and it all flows really well together. I also really liked the creativity in the different kinds of instruments that they used in this song. Of course, you have the bass and the drums, which stay consistent throughout, but you have the strings, you have piano, you have the guitar, all these instruments just working well together, including Moses' voice. Works out really well in the song. And then the ending instrumental section has this almost country folk vibe to it, which I thought was really interesting, with the guitar playing over that main bass and drum riff. And it even sounds like the guitarist is using a slide in his solo. So yeah, it's just a very interesting sound that I really enjoyed. And the song, the lyrics are very simple. Basically, they're about an old man thinking back on his life, reminiscing about all that he has seen. The mixing and the production on this song is excellent. Again, the use of panning and reverb effects and all these other mixing effects just are used perfectly to just create this, great song, really. So yeah, I really enjoyed this song. I think it's a great way to open the album, great introduction song to what 07's about. And right away from this song, you can hear that they are true studio musicians that know how to produce and mix songs well. So yeah, that was I Have Seen. Again, it's a cover of a Peddlers song with vocals by Moses. So the second song on the album is Polaris. This was written by 07, and this is an instrumental song. So throughout the album, they kind of mix it up between bringing guest vocalists and having just pure instrumental songs, where 07 is providing all the instrumentation. So This song is a lot slower than the last song. It's very chill. The instruments make a noise that has this really cool, it creates this really cool effect that sounds like they're talking. I don't know if that's like a delay effect or some type of weird compression thing, but it's really, really cool sound. Also in this song too, they have this really cool like laser sound effect that you actually hear throughout the album, but it sounds like something out of like an arcade game, like a classic arcade game, or maybe even like a laser tag type sound. That I thought was just very interesting. The strings are very beautiful on this song. Again, they come in and they give this very like elegant kind of orchestra type feel to it when you're listening to it. And then in this song, they do a great job of adding, little pieces of instrumentation as the song goes along and building up, which I feel like is, overall, this is something that 07 is amazing at, is, not putting all the instrumentation out at once, just slowly building. As the song goes on, you feel like you hear new instruments or new parts being played, and the layering is just very beautifully done. This song has this beat change in the middle of the song that makes the song more up-tempo and feel a lot darker, more experimental sounding. Personally, I didn't really like this change because it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. It felt like the transition was kind of like they have this one beat going, they stop the beat, and then they start this other kind of darker, more up-tempo beat that has elements of the first beat, but again, it just doesn't feel like the transition was great, and it doesn't feel like these two beats really connect well. So it's kind of a weird tonal shift too, because the first part is very like elegant, kind of like orchestral, and then it comes in more chill, while the second, like the beat change, that second part is a lot more up tempo, again more experimental, kind of more techno feeling. So I wasn't really a big fan of that change. I do like that they used, again, a multitude of instruments, including bongo drums. You can hear this almost like organ-like electric piano, maybe even a Rhodes piano playing, that adds to the song and makes it feel more bigger, more epic, And then as it goes to the end of the song, it goes back to that intro, the first beat, that kind of intro slow, chillier beat. So overall, I enjoyed the first kind of intro beat, that first section. I thought it was really cool. They used different effects, like they used a laser effect, which gave it a really cool, just overall vibe to the song. The first two, the one complaint I have is the two sections didn't feel connected well when they switched the beat. I wasn't really a big fan of that. It felt like almost like they created that first beat in a song, and then they just create another beat and just kind of push them together without really creating, it felt like a clean transition between them, or even just a reason to put these two beats together. But overall, I thought the instrumentation was great. Again, the production was well done. But yeah, just the beat change kind of threw me off. So, I don't really like this song that much, but I don't think it's a bad song. I think it's just, for me, it's just not my cup of tea in terms of that beat change. I think that kind of ruined it a little bit. But it's possible that they did this kind of on purpose to really show their range in terms of the electronica music that they were going towards. But overall, I'm not a big fan of that track. The third track on this album is Destiny. This was written by 07, Sophie Barker, and Sia. And the lead vocals are done by Sia. If you don't know Sia, she is an Australian singer and songwriter who so far in her career has released 9 studio albums, with her debut studio album being released in 1997. Her breakthrough album was her 6th studio album, entitled 1000 Forms of Fear. This album debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 charts when it came out, and the song Chandelier was a huge hit from that album. She's also received 9 Grammy Award nominations. So, Sia is most known for being a solo artist now, being more of a, kind of pop artist with some jazzy influences. but she really got her start with 07, specifically this album and this song specifically. Now, the background vocals on this song were provided by Sophia Barker, who also co-wrote the song. She also contributes vocals on 07's second studio album, When It Falls. And she also had a solo career. It just wasn't as, or even close to as successful as Sia's career after this album. Now, this is the second single to appear on this album, with the first being I've Seen. This song starts off with this very airy sounding intro that just makes you feel very relaxed and chilled from the start. And then the beat comes in with the drums and the keys, and immediately you just can't help but start nodding your head to the beat. I think the beat is just so well done, has that classic kind of trip hop chill feel to it. The guitar playing on this song is excellent. Again, it's these jazzy chords that I feel like fit the beat so well and are played with this airy tone that makes you feel like you're traveling through the clouds. I just really enjoy the beat to this song. And then Sia's vocals, I think they're amazing on this song. They come in, she has this very like soulful, rusty voice that just sounds just very unique. And with this lush, atmospheric instrumental and production on this song, it just fits so perfectly and just makes a really cool, trip hop chill song. The background vocals from Sophia Barker are also amazing. She has a more alto, like lower registry than Sia, so the harmony sounds really good, especially in the chorus. And you can tell just by the breathing, the way she's singing. Both her and Sia are professional singers, and their singing on this song is beautiful. It's really amazing, especially the lyrics. The lyrics in the song are talking about loneliness. Sia's singing about being separated from her partner, how she copes with that through porn and fantasizing and longing to be together. All these things that she's trying to do to make up for that separation she has with her partner. Then the chorus, she talks about how her partner is the best thing that's happened to her life, all these positive effects, how them being together is destiny. And I feel like that's kind of a cool contrast to the verse, which is kind of more negative, talking about all this trouble she's going through to keep this relationship, all the loneliness she's feeling. Honestly, like the concept of the lyrics remind me a lot of the movie Lost in Translation, and I really feel like this song would fit really well in the soundtrack for that film. I love how atmospheric this song is. This is one of those songs that you can just close your eyes and you can really visualize what Sia is talking about. It's also a great song to just relax to. Whichever way you relax, I think it's just a great song to just chill out to. I love the bridge and solo in this song. It sounds like it's performed on like a Rhodes piano, but it's just a really cool, solo that they do on piano that I just really enjoyed. And just overall, I really enjoyed this song. I love the build up with the vocals becoming more complex, and there's more, the background vocals become louder, and there's more instruments being layered in as the song goes on. The beat, I think, is amazing. It's an easy beat to nod your head to. It's just that classic, trip hop sound. The lyrics, I think, are just very beautiful, and they're sung perfectly with the right emotion. And so far this is probably my favorite song on the album. It has this great down-tempo chill feel to it, and I think Sia this just shows off how great of a singer she is. I had never listened to Sia's solo stuff, but when I heard this song, I found out it was Sia. Now I really want to listen to her solo stuff because it really surprised me. I didn't know she could sing this well. But yeah, that's Destiny. Definitely, at least so far, one of my favorite albums and one of my favorite songs on the album. The fourth song on this album is Give It Away. This was written by 07, and this is another instrumental song. So again, on this album, they do a good job of kind of splitting up the instrumental and the vocal songs. But yeah, this song starts off with a very simple piano melody that comes off as very atmospheric, very airy. And then the drums and bass come in that give it this very jazzy, like that classic jazz feel to it, the kind of swing feel. There's this very low piano riff that at first I thought was a bass, like a double bass, but I think it's just a piano played on a very low registry that has this really smooth, like smooth jazz riff that I really enjoy. I also really enjoyed the bass riff on this. Both the bass and the guitar, they come in, and again, they add to that kind of building nature in this song that 07 does on a lot of their songs. Again, they very subtly add in these instruments that really just build up this tension. And it feels like each bar, they're just adding another part to the mix. Maybe they're layering the same instrument or adding different instruments onto it. But it never feels like overpowering. It never feels like too much. And it's just that they're adding all these different effects. They have they bring back that alien sounding kind of laser effect. They have this kind of delay effect that makes it sound like it's like voices echoing in the distance. So, all these different effects and instruments coming together just create this really cool jazz riff and just sound. And I really love this song. I think it's a very easy song to dance and kind of groove to. There's never really a dull or boring moment in this song because they're always adding new stuff. They're always keeping it exciting, adding in more instrumentation. The layering is great in this song. There's even strings in this song, which again give that epic feeling, that kind of orchestral feeling to this. And I really like how this song stops and starts again. It does a great job of building up to the crescendo and then stopping and then building up again. And the transitions between that are all very clean and just really well done. So yeah, I feel like this song, in terms of instrumental songs on this album, this is my favorite. This has like it just feels like one of those really epic kind of masterpiece songs. It's a long song, and just every part, there's just never a dull moment. They're always just adding stuff in. Every part just feels necessary for the song, for the build up. It's one of those songs I honestly just never wanted to end. I kind of wish it went on longer, because it's just, when you get into it, I think it's an over 5-minute song, but when you get into it, it just feels like it's gone, in seconds almost. Just because it's just so engaging, and the creativity that 07 shows on this song is amazing. And this easily, at least up to this point, is one of my favorite songs on the album, and definitely one of my favorite instrumental tracks on the album. So again, that was Give It Away, which was the 4th song. The 5th song on this album is Simple Things. Simple Things was written by 07 and Moses. Moses provided the vocals for this song, and this song has the most hip-hop feel to it, the most like kind of traditional like trip-hop, hip-hop feel to it. It's very smooth jazz background with a very dark tone to it. You can definitely hear the double bass on this song going throughout. Lyrically, the lyrics are kind of confusing. They're very vague and kind of surreal. So this song is more of like a vibe song than actually like a song where the lyrics are, very deep. But overall, Moses does a great job vocally on this song. I think his voice, is a very soulful voice, and I think it works really well with these type of, smooth jazz beats. So, compared to other songs on this album, I thought this song was kind of simple in comparison. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad song. It's just, I thought, especially coming off of Give It Away, which is just such a great instrumental song. This song just felt a lot more simple, just, the basic smooth jazz beat with Moses' singing. But I did like that it was a little darker. It had a kind of more hip-hop feel to it. Probably the most hip-hop sounding song so far. I couldn't really tell what the lyrics meant. And also this song kind of gave me vibes of like a song they would use in like a James Bond movie almost. It also kind of reminded me a little bit of like a Portishead sounding song, because it was just like very trip hop-ish with the vocals on top. So yeah, that was Simple Things. The next song on the album is Red Dust. This was written by 07, and this is an instrumental song. So again, they're kind of going from instrumental to vocals back to instrumental. This song is a very basic piano melody to it, with a really great bass and drum beat. It features, again, that really cool laser sound that the song like Polaris had, that kind of like alien laser sound effect. There's a beat change in this. It has like an up-tempo beat change, similar to the Polaris song, except this one I feel like is done more seamlessly than the Polaris beat change was done. And I feel like this beat change just makes more sense. And it feels different, but keeps parts of the original beat. But one thing I don't like about this song is there's multiple beat changes even after that, and multiple parts where they cut out. And I don't feel like those are terrible, but I just feel like there's just too much. It just feels a little excessive to have all these different beat changes and parts in this song. There's so many different instruments in this song. This song has a flute and other like woodwind instruments. There's like this trumpet / horn type instrument. There's strings, acoustic guitar. I also mentioned bass and drums. And then all these different cool effects. They have like the alien effect, that kind of like laser type effect. So there's just a lot going on in this song. But I do like the ending where all the instruments come together and it sounds like this kind of like chill orchestra feel to it. So overall, this song actually gave me kind of like a 70s vibe. It had like this very like loungy kind of vibe, 70s vibe with this great build up. And the production and the mixing is very well done. I know this song is probably a very hard song to mix and produce correctly to make it really sound good, because there's just so many different instruments on this. The beat itself, I like. It's just very chill, kind of a standard jazzy beat. That honestly feels like something someone like RZA would sample and Wu-Tang could rap over. Or even like a chill rapper like a Milo or Slug could rap over this. And at times, this song feels a little all over the place because there's just so many different kind of beat changes and stops and starts. But overall, I like the song. It has kind of a different vibe to it than other songs on the album. So yeah, that was Red Dust, the 6th song on this album. The 7th song on this album is Distractions. This was written by 07 and Sia, with the vocals done by Sia. This is the 3rd single to appear on this album, and the intro starts off with a really, sad vibe. The piano and bass are very subtle and creates like this very kind of melancholy vibe and mood to this song. It also has this kind of eeriness, kind of creepiness to this song too, that makes you feel very lonely. And then Sia's voice comes in very softly, and at times she does this really cool thing that when she's kind of at the end of her singing bar, she kind of talks her lyrics, which I feel like gives the song even more emotion. You can really, I think Sia does a great job at portraying emotion and conveying emotion through her singing. When you're listening to the song, you can immediately tell, even without really even understanding the lyrics, you can just tell this is someone who's very lonely, very sad. And then lyrically, Sia's talking about, her future. She's thinking about her future with the person that she loves, having kids, having a house, but she feels like, all these things is just going to lead to a divorce. This life, this future that she sees with this person, it's gonna have a bad ending. That's just how she feels. And it's kind of like this song that kind of deals with the expectations or fantasies of a relationship versus the reality of a relationship, which she kind of portrays as being much bleaker. And in the chorus, she talks about how she loves him, but she doesn't truly believe in her heart that this is all gonna work out. So this song, it kind of feels like it would fit again, a movie like Lost in Translation or maybe even 500 Days of Summer, because it has that really like heartbreaking, sad, lonely feel to it. But this song also has some really cool effects that 07 uses. They bring back that alien arcade sounding laser effect into the song. But it's a little different. It kind of has more of an eerie, creepy feel to it, which I think is really cool. I really like the musical arrangement in the chorus. They play these chords that sound like seventh chords, and they go down chromatically, which gives a really cool kind of like R&B neo soul feel. I mean, I feel like that's where a lot of the chromatic kind of going down those like seventh chords really start from, like the 70s R&B feel to it, which I really enjoyed. The backing vocals are also done by Sia. They did this through like layering her vocals. So basically she's singing the lead vocals, and then you have her singing the background vocals, and they have this kind of cool layering harmonizing effect that I really enjoyed. The strings, I really enjoyed the strings in this song. I feel like they add to the emotion and really just submit the genius of this song. This song just feels like a song that is just very well put together. A lot of time you can just tell was put into this song, just with the production value. It's a very slow, kind of sad, down-tempo song, and it's really the first one of the album that I feel really goes deep into that tone, that kind of like depressing tone of the song that the song does. I think the lyrics are really good. They're very emotional. They deal with the singer kind of provides an honest reflection on their relationship, which I really enjoyed. And again, the instrumentation is amazing. I really like how this song has a very slow build to like that climax or crescendo later on in the song, and how they chromatically kind of went down each chord. I really enjoyed. I think Sia does a great job with the vocal performance on this song, and I really enjoyed this song. I could see why this song was made into a single. Sia, of course, is an amazing singer, and this song just it sounds like a hit song. It's a very well done song. That's Distractions, which was the 7th song on the album. The 8th song on the album is In the Waiting Line. This was written by 07 and Sophia Barker, and the vocals on this song are done by Sophia Barker by herself, so Sia doesn't provide any vocals on this song. And this is the 4th and last single to appear on this album. So this song starts off with an intro. You can clearly hear in the intro that this song, they're using acoustic drumming, which I thought was really cool. I feel like it meshes really well with the keys and other effects that they use in the intro. Sophia Barker's voice comes in, and it reminded me a lot of the voice of Sia's voice, actually. It has that very soulful sound to it, but it's a little less twangy. It sounds a lot more like traditional almost, and more simple. She has she has a much lower registry, so she's more of an alto, while Sia's more of a soprano singer. This song is a very traditional down-tempo sound to it. It kind of keeps the same vibe throughout with very few additions, which is kind of rare for a 07 song, at least so far on this album, because they're always adding in more additions to kind of build up to like a crescendo. This song really keeps the same tone and just vibe throughout the whole song. Lyrically, this song is about how we're wasting time on this earth, doing things that don't matter and don't help us grow overall as humans. I like the lyrics on this song. I think that's pretty meaningful. There's really not much else to add. This is a very simple song. It keeps the same kind of tone and vibe throughout. It's very smooth sounding. Her vocals don't really like shine out to me like Sia's does. In some ways I can see why maybe she didn't have the same solo career as Sia. Because Sia just has such a unique voice, and Sophia Barker's voice is beautiful. It sounds very good, but it just sounds very like a traditional studio singer voice. Overall the song was very, very relaxing, very minimal. And I like the song overall. I don't love it, but I feel like going up to this point, Zero 7 has established that they are amazing at production and mixing and instrumentation and implementing that instrumentation. And so, my expectations are much higher when you get to the, 8th song on the album. You're expecting a lot more. So you're expecting it to start off this kind of more traditional, jazzy kind of down-tempo sound and kind of build up. And this song doesn't really do that. So, I honestly, I'm really kind of surprised that this song was a single, really. Maybe they did that because they wanted, Sia to have a single and Sophia to have a single. But, I feel like this song, it's not boring, but it's just very simple. So, that's number 8, which was In the Waiting Line. The 9th song on this album is Out of Town. This song was written by Zero 7, and this is another instrumental song. This song has a very basic kind of chill beat to it with the strings and the horns that you're kind of used to hearing at this point. But it gives it this kind of, nostalgic, kind of old sounding vibe to it, kind of that 70s vibe of some of the previous songs gave. I like the use of shaker as a percussion instrument in this beat, which is kind of different than the song so far. But overall, it's a very simple sounding beat, but it will make your head nod for sure. The snare and the drums do a good job with that. I like the horns. I thought that was kind of a cool touch. It had some kind of flavor to this song that overall I felt was kind of bland. So I think the horns were a great touch. But overall, again, this song reminded me a lot actually of the previous song, In the Waiting Line, in that it's not a bad song. It's just kind of boring and kind of just standard. It just sounds very subtle, very minimal, very basic. There's not a lot of changes in it. And again, I'm just expecting more because the previous songs that I've heard up to this point, there's just so much happening. There's so many changes. There's not a lot of boring moments. So, when you have an instrumental song, you have to keep your audience engaged. And, this just feels like a song you would just put on the background, maybe like even elevator type music vibe to it. Very, very chill song. I think the song's okay, but it's not really great. And I'm kind of, at this point, I'm kind of disappointed because up to this point, I've really enjoyed this album, but these last 2 songs haven't really done that much for me. That was Out of Town. That's the 9th song. The 10th song on this album is This World. Now, this is a song written by Zero 7 and Moses, and the vocals are by Moses. The song starts off with the instrumental intro that sounds very dreamy, has that kind of airy, atmospheric vibe to it again, but becomes more sinister, more like darker and kind of creepy sounding when the bass comes in. And I thought that was a really cool effect. It just sounded different. They use these really dark sound effects in this song that create this kind of, haunting, like cool, creepy vibe to the song, which I thought was really interesting, especially coming off the last 2 songs. This song, right away, you can tell they're experimenting. They're trying some new stuff with this. The bass line in the song actually reminded me a lot of the song Daydream by Wallace Collection. This was the song that Lupe Fiasco sampled in his song Daydreaming featuring Jill Scott. That's where I first heard that bass beat, and that's what it reminded me of. But he sampled that from the song Daydreaming by Wallace Collection, which was released in 1969. And, just that bass line kind of going down chromatically, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the bass line in this song. But again, they have this really, just dark, kind of chilly, undertone to the instrumentation that I really enjoyed. And then Moses' vocals come in, and again, he does a great job in controlling his voice and just how powerful he sings without, it sounding too loud or too overbearing. And, he just has a great soulful voice that I feel really works on these jazzy, dark sounding, beats. And he really shows off. This is the song that I feel like really shows off his vocal talent and range. This song also has a beat change in the chorus that I thought was really well done, very interesting. How they use the melody of the keys and how the singing just really builds up in the chorus, which is, again, something that I really enjoy that 07 does. It makes them sound unique, and it really gets you engaged in the song, into listening to the song. The drum beat, it has this very like hip hop sounding electric drum beat that comes in on the second verse that kind of gives us this more like trip hop, electronica vibe to it that I really enjoy. Kind of remind me more of like a Portishead type vibe to it. And then as the song continues, they just add more and more layers. And I think, again, the production quality and the mixing quality that 07 brings is amazing in this song. They add back in that cool laser effect. They have the strings, they have the backing vocals, and as the song goes on and on, it just becomes more and more epic. And this song, I feel like, is a great showcase to show how creative of a group 07 is. It's a song I really enjoy, especially coming off after the last two songs, which I thought were a lot more basic. This song felt more like a traditional 07 song with all the layering, all the instrumentation that they implemented into this. The vocals by Moses were amazing. He does a great job of making this song feel epic when it needs to, and making this song feel more chill when it needs to. I like just the dark tone of this song. It kind of gave a different vibe. So yeah, this is one of my favorite songs on the album for sure. And I feel like this song fits better as a single than In the Waiting Line. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't use this song as a single, because it has a vocal performance, it's very epic sounding. And I know now this song is kind of more, well known from this album. But yeah, I'm just surprised they didn't use this one as a single, especially when they use In the Waiting Line, which I thought was a lot more basic. But yeah, that was This World. The next song on this album is Likufanele. This was written by George Martin, Prime Rose, Nicola, and Zindeli Mekosa. The vocals are done by the Fulani Mothers. They're also known as the Mothers. So the Fulani Mothers, they're a choir made up of South African nurses from the Fulani Nutrition Project, which the Fulani Nutrition Project is a community-based child healthcare and nutrition organization from Cape Town, South Africa. So this entire song, majority of this song is sung in Xhosa, which is a Bantu language related to Zulu and is one of the official languages of South Africa. And Likufanele, which is the title, it translates to "It Suits You." So this song is mainly in Xhosa. There's a small kind of sample that they use that's in English that I'll kind of talk about later. But basic kind of interpretation and translation of this song, the lyrics is basically talking about communicating nicely with one another and understanding where other people are coming from, because we're all the same, and it's more suitable for us. That's kind of the overall translation meaning of the song, which I really enjoy. I think that's a great message to put out there. To kind of, bring the world together and just show that, we're all the same. We all go through similar problems, and, just kind of bringing the world together. So I think that's a very, nice message for this song. This song is very different from a lot of all the other songs on the album. It has this Fulani Mothers, which is a choir. So you hear all these different voices singing in Xhosa, very beautiful voices that I love the layering that 07 does on this. And they have, basically they say a line and then they say another line that's kind of repeating that, almost like in a gospel type feel. But the layering is done that creates this really complex sound that I really enjoy. In terms of the instrumentation, it has a very jazzy instrumentation with a great build up, and I like how 07 implemented traditional African sounding instruments in this. They use African drums and shakers, and it really just gives this really cool feel to it that just feels very authentic. Again, the Flame Mothers do an amazing job with the singing on this. You can just hear the emotion and passion in their voices really shine through. In terms of the instrumental, 07 uses a heavy use of strings and horns in this, with the traditional kind of drum bass keys that they use in all their songs, and they even add in that kind of eerie laser sound into this. So it still feels like a 07 song, but just different because you have this more like gospel sound to it that I think just creates a really cool, different sound that so far we haven't heard on this album. And I really like when 07 experiments with these different sounds. Now this song, the what I mentioned earlier, where there's a part that's actually in English, they actually sample a quote from a movie. This is from the 1996 documentary When We Were Kings, which is a documentary about the Rumble in the Jungle heavyweight championship match in 1974 between Foreman and Ali. And they sample a quote from Ali's trainer where he's saying that everything you do should be done with feeling. So they kind of, after the Flame Mothers are kind of done singing, there's like they put in this sample where the trainer's just talking, kind of talking about how life should just be done with feeling. Every time you get up in the morning, every time you work out, or whatever you do, it should be done with feeling. And I really like how they use that sample because I feel like it really fits in with just the vibe of the song. This song is just, it feels very authentic just through and through. The instrumentation is just beautifully done. It fits really well with the vocal performance. And I really enjoy this song. I love to hear songs sung in different languages. I feel like that's a great exposure because most of the songs I hear are in English. So I love that kind of change of pace where you hear a song that's in a different language and it's sung beautifully. I think just the performance itself is just very well done. I like how 07 implemented the use of African instruments to make it feel more authentic, to kind of do something out of their comfort zone to make it feel more experimental, but still have that same like 07 signature sound with the different instruments and effects that they were using. So overall, I think this is a really beautiful song with a great message behind it. It's definitely the most unique song on the album, but an experimental song, but I think that's what makes it so good. It's a song that they took a chance on. They did something different, and I really feel like that's what makes this song really stand out on this album, is just how unique it is, how different it is from the traditional 07 formula. And I feel like this album needed a song like this to really like switch up kind of that traditional sound they're going for. And I really enjoyed this song. I think it's one of the best songs on the album for sure. That was Likufanele. And the last song on this album is called End Theme. Now, this song heavily features a sample of a song by Daryl Runsquick. So he's actually credited as the writer on this song. And Daryl Runsquick is a classically trained composer and musician from England. The song that they sample from him is called Link Slink, which is by Daryl Runsquick and Francis Mockman. This song first appears on Francis Mockman and Daryl Runsquick's 1980 album Classical Odyssey. This is a classical orchestral song. It's an instrumental song, and basically they sample this song and kind of add in some of their own 07 effects to it. But this song has a very classic orchestra sound to it. Heavy use of strings. They add in drums, which kind of gives it this more jazzy feel. And then they add in all the 07 effects, like the laser, the kind of alien type sound, the sound that kind of sounds like there's like echoed voices, maybe some type of delay effect they use. And then this song, during about the middle of the song, there's this really cool build up that makes it sound very epic, very classical music like orchestral sound that leads to this crescendo that just sounds really good. And I liked how this is kind of a different different sound than what you're used to on the album. It kind of gives it an epic ending to the album. It is heavily sampled from the orchestral song by Daryl Runswick. So, you can't give them too much credit because they sampled it very heavily and they just kind of add some stuff to it. But I do think it's a good conclusion for the album. So yeah, that's the end of the album with the last song, In Theme. Now I'm going to quickly go over some of the bonus tracks that were released for this album. On the US edition of the album, there were 2 bonus tracks that were released. The first is called Saltwater Sound. This was written by 07, and this is an instrumental track. This song has kind of a almost folk-like sound to it, mixed with this electronica sound. It kind of reminds me a lot of like a Beck song. It has a really weird experimental vibe to this song, and they use heavily use of samples that they kind of put in place of like traditional vocal performance. So they use kind of vocal samples in this song. But overall, I like the song. I think it has this cool experimental vibe to it. But I can see how it didn't make the album because it just doesn't feel like it fits really the rest of the songs on the album really well. And kind of the vibe of this song too just feels kind of not random, but just doesn't feel like it fits the vibe of the album really well. And then the second song in the US edition was Spinning. Now this is a song written by 07 and Sophia Barker, and the vocals on the song were provided by Sophia Barker. So the instrumentation of this song is very atmospheric and airy, with this really catchy guitar riff going throughout that I really enjoyed. And then Sophia Barker really shows off her vocal abilities with this song. I feel like this is her best vocal performance throughout the whole album that I've heard up to this point. She's very energetic. You can tell she can really sing well. She has great breath control, great singing techniques. She shows off her range here, because on the other song she's a lot more alto. This song she kind of goes more into the soprano. Just great range on her voice, and just sounds like a lot more energetic and emotional than she did in the song In the Waiting Line. Lyrically, I interpret this song as being about her experience with depression and loneliness. And lyrically, this song reminded me a lot of the song Distractions, where you have Sia talking about similar topics of loneliness and struggles she has with her relationship. So again, these were very powerful lyrics that I thought were just very emotional, and I feel like Sophia Barker did a great job of getting that emotion through her singing and her vocal performance. In terms of instrumentation, this song reminded me a lot of the song Destiny from earlier in the album. Had a very trip-hop feel to it. It almost feels like Sophia Barker's version of that song, because on Destiny it's kind of Sia's song that she sings like the lead vocal performance for. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this song. I enjoyed the instrumentation and the vocal performance by Sophia Barker. I feel like they blended perfectly together, and this is actually one of my favorite songs on the album. And it kind of sucks that this is a bonus song that the UK didn't get in their original release, because I feel like this song is really good, and I feel like it could definitely fit on this album instead of a couple other songs on there. For me, it's the best performance from Sophia Barker. I like this song a lot more than In the Waiting Line. So this song seems like a song that could be on the album and could be a single for the album. It's very powerful. I love there's a part where she says carry on, and it just kind of holds the note as she's singing it. And kind of, it's just overall, I mean, all the instrumentation and just the lyrical performance of this is just amazing. So I really enjoyed this song. It's again one of my favorite songs on the album. and that was Spinning, which is the second bonus track for the US edition. And then in the Japanese edition of this album, there is an additional bonus track called Monday Night. This was written by 07, and it's an instrumental song. The song is very minimal, very atmospheric. It almost still feels like a song that's like from a film score. It has a very chill beat that I feel like goes on for too long. This is a very long song, and it kind of gets boring after a while. Again, this feels like background music, elevator music, something that would be used in a film score. So I can see why this didn't really make the album cut. But yeah, that's the album. And the top 3 songs on the album for me, in no particular order, are Destiny, Give It Away, and This World. And I do want to give an honorable mention to the song Spinning, which is on the US edition bonus track that I just talked about. If that song was on the album, I would probably put that song ahead of This World. But because it's not on the album, I think it's just fair to just put the 3 songs that I like on the actual album, which are Destiny, Give It Away, and This World, which are all amazing songs that I really enjoy. And just my overall thoughts on this album. Overall, I thought the production and mixing on this album is amazingly done. You can tell right away that 07 has a lot of experience when it comes to the production and mixing aspects of creating an album. And it makes a lot of sense because they started off as studio engineers. But I feel like that still deserves appreciation because on this album there's just so many different sounds and instruments. And I've had a little bit of experience when it comes to like mixing, and I know how hard it is to really balance all these instruments and make sure that they all come out clearly, they can hear each of them, that they don't become overwhelming. And I think they do a perfect job when it comes to that. All the instruments in this album are very clear cut, and one thing I can say clearly is this album has amazing production and mixing. So I feel like 07 definitely deserves credit for that. Another thing that stands out for me is the vocal performances. Starting off with Sia, I've heard of Sia, obviously. I haven't really heard any of her songs, but this was kind of my first introduction to actually hearing her music was this album, and she really blew me away. I mean, she's an amazing vocalist with so much range, just so much emotion that she can get out of her voice. And I feel like she really shines on all of her vocal performances on this album. She has this like unique, slightly like twangy voice that I don't know if it's because of her accent, because I know she's Australian. There's something there that creates that vocal, performance, but it's just like it's so unique and so engaging. And the way when she has to convey emotion in her singing is just so well done. And it's just something really special about her voice that I really enjoy. And it makes sense to me that she became so popular later in her career. It took some time for people to really discover her, but once they did, she became this huge pop star, and it makes sense when you hear this album and see where she kind of started from. Then you have Moses and Sophie Barker, who also deserve a lot of credit for how great they are in this album. I know Sia gets a lot of credit, but Moses and Sophie Barker did an amazing job. Moses, he has this great soulful voice that I feel like fits perfectly with the more like down-tempo, darker, jazzier, beats on this album. And those are all his songs that he did, especially This World. I think his performance in that is amazing. Just so powerful, so emotional, so well done. That I just really was blown away, and I really enjoyed his vocal performance on this album. Then you have Sophie Barker, who I thought has an amazing, beautiful voice with so much vocal range. I think that's something that should be highlighted. She, especially in the song Spinning, she has a alto registry, but she can get up to the soprano registry very easily. You could tell she's professionally trained. Throughout this album, I do feel like there were certain songs that didn't really allow her vocal performance to really shine just because how they were arranged, or maybe how she was instructed to sing, or maybe the choices she made. But especially on the song Spinning from the bonus track, I definitely recommend that song because, if you really want to see her vocal range, her vocal talent, her ability, it really shines off on that song. And it really sucks that wasn't on the base album. But, just overall, also, her backing vocals in the song Destiny, beautifully done. And, I've seen live performances of that song on YouTube, and you can just tell that she, just has such great harmony with Sia. Her vocal ability, the way she controls her voice is just very professionally done. So yeah, I really enjoyed her vocal performance overall on this album. And then the instrumentation, there's a lot of different studio musicians who played on this album. But just overall, all the instruments just sound really well together. I really liked the guitar, had this very jazzy feel to it. And the strings, the strings added this orchestral feel that I felt like really drove this album throughout. And then the bass playing, some of my favorite songs just had really great bass riffs and lines in there that I really enjoyed. Also, I feel like they do such a great job at building up the tension and then releasing it at the perfect time, and just building up in that kind of crescendo way, that orchestra way that I really enjoyed. And I feel like on the songs where they did that, those are the best songs on the album for sure. And in terms of just the overall theme and lyrical content of this album, I feel like it can be interpreted a lot of different ways. But for me, I just felt like this album was just talking about the simple things in life, which is, relationships we have with others, maybe people we don't know, people we do know, relationships we have with our partners, with our friends, with our family. And throughout this album, they talk about the ups and downs of these relationships and, the emotions that we feel when we go through them. And I feel like they did a great job of using the instrumentation to really supplement that, feeling, the emotions that you get when you talk about these subjects. So I thought it was, at least thematically, I thought it was a very beautiful album. And lyrically, I felt like there are a couple songs that really stood out for me. Destiny is one. Distractions, I thought was a very beautiful song. And then the song Likufanele, the song that's in Xhosa, the South African language, I thought that song was just very beautiful. Even if I don't understand the lyrics, just reading the translation and just the emotion that they had in their voices really spoke to me personally. I was really blown away by that song. So overall, in terms of rating, I'm gonna give this album a 4.5 out of 5. This is one of my favorite albums in this field, in this genre, the Electronica genre. To be fair, I haven't listened to a lot of albums in this genre, and I want to listen to more and review more. But I remember listening to this album, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and just being blown away by just the production level, the performances on this album, and listening to it again, I get those same feelings. I truly love how much effort and time you can tell was placed into this album. And I feel like with music, you can really tell when an artist is being lazy and just kind of going through the status quo of what they can do, and when they actually try something experimental, when they actually put in effort, when they actually take that extra step. And this is one of those albums where you can really feel that certain songs, they're going out of their comfort zone. They're really putting this effort, especially with the production and the mixing. You can really tell that the effort is placed in with how they balance all the instruments and all the vocal performances. In terms of criticism, I wasn't a big fan of songs like Polaris and Out of Town. Also some songs like In the Waiting Line and Simple Things, I felt like they were kind of basic. I didn't hate those songs, but I just thought they didn't really stand out to me. They didn't really fit the traditional 07 formula that I was used to, and they kind of let me down. And then a song like Spinning, I feel like that has to be on the main track list. Having it as a bonus track and being a US edition bonus, and the UK not getting it in the original release, I feel like that's a mistake, because this song could easily be a single. I mean, in my opinion, it's a lot better than the song In the Waiting Line. And if they wanted to include a Sophia Barker song, to have as a single, they should have used Spinning. I feel like the composition on that song is just a lot better. It's a lot more dynamic. It's a lot more interesting. And I feel like Sophia Barker's performance on that song blows In the Waiting Line, her performance in The Waiting Line, out of the water. I mean, her performance is amazing on that song. And it's just a shame that they had that only as a bonus track. But yeah, overall, like I said, this is one of my favorite albums. And I feel like it's one of those albums that's really underrated. And that's one reason why I wanted to review it. I feel like it deserves more attention. And, I would recommend to anyone who's a fan of down-tempo, chill music, or just music with great instrumentation. If you're someone who's a real music fan who maybe plays instruments and just really enjoys just amazing professionals playing their instruments to the best of their ability, both physical instruments and their vocal performances, then I feel like this is an album for you for sure. Also, it's just a great album to listen to when you're stressed out. You're stressed out at work or at home. It's a great album to relax to and just chill out to. So that does it for my review of the album Simple Things by the group 07. Again, my rating for this album is a 4.5 out of 5. So that does it for the 6th episode of the Silent Feedback Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day. Peace out.